and welcome everyone to our Alfa Laval Marine Talks. Today we will be connecting the dots, exploring how AI, data and hardware redefine ship efficiency. It's about smart decision making, making sure that your fleet and investments are future-proof, and understanding how artificial intelligence can be a productivity booster. We know that the future is uncertain at the moment, especially when it comes to regulatory frameworks, but there is still so much we can do. My name is Franziska Källström. I work as Service Development Manager at Alfa Laval, and I'm your host here today. Also, this session is pre-recorded. With this, I have the pleasure to introduce our panelists for today, and they are well integrated into these subjects. Amaranta, welcome, and please tell us a bit of who you are and your field of expertise.
Thank you, Franziska. I'm very pleased to be here today. My name is Amaranta Rundin. I work at StormGeo, which is part of Alfa Laval. My role is leading the product development of the digitalization. Basically, my part is focusing on board what we can offer the crews of the systems for them to planning their voyage from A to B.
Great, thank you. Jesper?
Thanks for having me. Jesper Boman, working in Alfa Laval, head of service in a business unit that we call Water, Wind and Fuel Solutions. Background in operations and logistics, but really nice to be here.
Jeppe?
Yeah, also it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jeppe Jacobsen. I'm head of global sales and business development in the business unit of Alfa Laval that we call heat and gas systems. So we work a lot with waste heat recovery, energy transformation and different combustion technologies in Alfa Laval.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. Together we will explore how we can break down the silos between technology, data and operations, and how it's just not just an advantage, it's becoming a defining feature of a competitive, compliant and future-proof vessel. So let's dive into the first subject. We will talk about the big picture. And the first question I have prepared here, Jesper, for you. So achieving real energy and cost savings, that requires a mix of technologies, actions and smarter operations. Do you agree on that?
Absolutely. Because unfortunately there is no silver bullet. You probably need to do a lot of different investments and really taking care of your vessel. Everything from hull modification, wind assistance, outside the vessel. Inside the vessel, of course there's a lot of discussion of different fuels, for example. But it's really to make sure that you also take care of your equipment from a service perspective and also educate your crew. So unfortunately, there's so many different things that you can do. On the good side then is really that there are a lot of opportunities, especially if you start to take a digital layer using like StormGeo's technology to see, okay, how can I take care of the route optimization and so on, but also on the fuel line. Unfortunately, to answer your question, no, there's not just one simple solution. We really need to look into a lot of different things.
Mm. So not one single solution to achieve this, and it takes a combination. But what do you have anything to add here, Jeppe?
Yeah, I very much agree with you, Jesper. There is not one solution. On the other hand, we shouldn't neglect that there are actually a lot of known technologies already. It's just a matter of applying them. I think one of the key points, we talk a lot about, let's say, optimizing the performance of the systems. But one thing that is really close to my heart is also that we reduce the waste. With that, actually, when we look at the energy that we put into a ship, only 50% of it is actually converted into useful power. The remaining 50% is simply just wasted in different losses. So that's something we can do something about with known technologies. It's just about putting our mind to it and collaboration. So I think we'll speak much more about that during this session today.
Great. But what we can agree is that there is no silver bullet, no one size fits all, and connect and have smarter operations between the different technologies that we use.
Yeah.
Okay, and for Amaranta, ship owners have these ambitious goals and have also to comply to a lot of rules. Where do you see the biggest gap between the ambition and what's actually possible on board?
That's a very good question because even if a shipping company is like they're looking at what they can do, but then you have to realize that on board a vessel they have a different approach. So they work in a very structured way. They have safety as the highest priority, which everybody has, but especially on board, that's kind of the main target. And they have a lot of different systems that they need to gather the data and so on. So just to plan the route before they can even leave the port, I think it can take up to 6 hours. So they have to collect the data from many different parts. So their focus is to really make sure that they create a passage planner and then be able to sail. So while on shore, they're kind of sitting and having a different view. So we need to close the gap from being on board and the owner or operator on shore on how they kind of see the different perspectives from their different sides.
So share the same view for everyone to understand what's going on board as well as on shore to have effective planning.
Exactly.
Great.
Can I just chip in there? Because as you said, I mean, it's also a lot of preparations and the equipment we have on board. So if we connect that with what Jeppe said, I mean, the energy efficiency, it's the same with your phone. I mean, you only use very little of all the functions that are there. It's the known technology that we have and the equipment we have on board. It's also training of the crew because we tend to only use part of all the technology we already have on board. So if we educate and really train and do upgrades, then we will be able to take care of energy losses, as Jeppe talked about. So there's a lot of different things that we can do.
Do you want to say anything here on the...
No, I think you're very much right. I think we have a tendency to always look for that new thing, that thing that will be the savior of our future, right? But then we also tend to maybe neglect what we can already do on board. And I very much agree. I mean, it's about, let's say, looking at what we have. Maybe it's about training. It's about educating the crew. But it's also about educating ourselves so that we know better what's actually ongoing out on the sea. So a lot about, let's say, talking to each other. It's about the dialogue. It's about getting that dialogue not just in the meeting rooms, but even on board the ships.
And I mean, with the new technology, then we have a golden opportunity because historically, I mean, we would train the crew, classroom training, maybe e-learnings. Now, collecting data from the equipment, we can get basically real live data feeds to shore and then feedback on how to operate it even better to both train and optimize the equipment.
So have a more seamless way of connecting the different works that's done on board and shore. Okay, great. We now move into the next part, the decision-making level and how to think when you're in a board and what strategy to take on. Jeppe, what does it take to move from a single solution mindset into a portfolio approach where systems and data work together?
Yeah. I think again, this thing that we've been looking a lot on, sort of what is the solution, and as Jesper said rightfully from the beginning, there will be no one solution. Of course, there will be things that will have a big impact. There will be the fuel transition to future fuels. There will be things like carbon capture that will be there in the mix somewhere. But it will be a collection of a lot of different tools that will sort of bring us forward in the industry. I think one thing that is really important in today's uncertain landscape around regulatory landscape, fuel costs, and so on, is really to make sure not just that you take the right decisions. I mean, we all want to take the right decision. We all want to be that one who called the future, right? I think it's really important that you, at the same time, put as much focus on not taking the wrong decision. I mean, when you design a ship today, you design it today. It will be on the water in 3 years' time, and you'll live with it for 25 years. That means you're actually taking decisions today that will be with you for 28 years. And if we just put it into perspective, that if we roll back, I mean, that's actually people taking decisions in the late 90s and then operating the ships today. I mean, the world looks so much different. So really ensuring that you future-proof your decisions by partnering up with people that will be around, companies that will be around for a long time, and also have that core knowledge around securing your asset, technology-wise especially.
Mm. And then making sure that different vessels have different solutions or could have different applicable.
Yeah, and maybe on that point, you know, if we take today and we look 28 years in front of us, I mean, I don't think a lot of people can actually call the future. I mean, what fuel will this ship be sailing on in 15 years or 20 years from now? So ensuring that your asset is upgradable, that you can change fuels, that you can upgrade to more efficient solutions as the ship during the ship's lifetime is really, really key. And here, what we encourage is really having a conversation with companies like us to get that sort of peace of mind that the decision I take today will actually be the right decision going forward.
Mm. So involve your technology partners and collaborate to find a good solution. Great. Amaranta, we hear that data is the new oil. But we know everyone is collecting data, we're drowning in data, but still we are starving for these insights on how to use them in the most efficient way. What is the missing link between collecting the data from the vessel and actually making a proactive decision?
Yes, I like that analogy, basically, like the data is the new oil. And like raw oil, raw data has no use in that sense. So you can have a lot of raw data, but if you don't know how to consume it, how to use it, then it doesn't give you any value. So the trick here is like we do collect a lot of huge amount of data from everything from sensors, manual reporting, whatever. But what we try to do in StormGeo is basically take that data in and filter out the data that you really need. Make sure it's validated, make sure it's verified when it's needed, and then incorporate that into the systems to provide you the value finally, so you can make the clever decisions based on the data. So I think that closing the gap is like, yes, a lot of data, but filter it, validate it, and then use it in a proper way. That will help to take the final decisions.
Mm. So it's not about the data, but how we use it.
Yes,
what
exactly.
we do with it.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge today for many ship owners and ship operators because, I mean, the raw data as such has no value, but when you do the analytics, but that's for that equipment. Mm. To really gain the value, then you need to start collecting the different, or you need to connect the different equipment as well to be able to do a validated decision. So you need to have more homogenic IT landscape for the owners or whoever looks at the data to be able to draw conclusions. So if we go back to what Jeppe said regarding future fuels, you need to of course have a vessel that has a flexibility because it will live over a long time. But also the upgrades, how can you do the upgrades based on data decisions, making it like a midlife upgrade opportunities. So it's a mix here that you really need to do.
But with all this data, we're also hearing a lot about cybersecurity, and there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to protecting the data and also your ship operation. How should you think when it comes to that, cybersecurity? Should you be careful?
Definitely. I think that cybersecurity needs to evolve the same way as digitalization has been doing the last years. And that is something, cybersecurity is like you can say it's a buzzword, but still not, because it affects everybody, not only shipping, but the whole world. And if you look at shipping specifically, I mean, imagine these vessels. There are huge vessels, like 300 meters long and so on. But out in the ocean, they are quite small, all around there. And so we really need to make sure that with the amount of data we kind of transfer to the vessel, but also now from the vessel to shore, we need to make sure that we really secure and protect the data in such a way that the vessel can, or the crew on board can feel secure that whatever they open, when they want to look at the weather or whatever information they want to see, they know that they can do that safe, nothing will happen, and the navigation system will still continue to work and so on. And the same way on the other side, because it's not about only that, but also to protect the data, because there's a lot of valuable data that we are shifting from one way to another. So it's really important that we make sure that nobody else can access the data and do stuff that they shouldn't do with it.
But the win is to actually share the data and not keeping it.
I think that's the key. I mean, cybersecurity is really to have that nobody else that you don't want to get access to the data. But the win is that we start sharing data and enhance the decision making, because that's I think that's the key.
Otherwise, we limit the industry that way.
Exactly, and you live in silos, and of course you can optimize one part of your fuel line, but if you only do that optimization, you will still have a sub-optimization in the total fuel line. So I mean, you need to look at the whole picture. And then, of course, coming to one maker that has the same data set, so you can communicate and then share, or you do like an API solution so that different equipment can communicate with each other to a third-party platform, for example.
So we say it's important to share the data, but be careful, make sure it's protected.
Yeah, share it, but be sure that when you share it, you share the correct data, and that it's protected, so only the receiver has access to the data.
And I think also that's the key, the right data. Because if you're going to do the analytics and draw the right conclusion, then you may need to make sure that you get the right data sets.
But on this fragmented data, weather, performance, maintenance and bunker, how does that hold overall ship efficiency back?
Yeah, because as we discussed, I mean, if all makers on a vessel, because a vessel, I mean, there are so many different suppliers. So if they hold back the data and don't share the data, then we come into this, that you get sub-optimization. To be able to have future-proofed fuel line, for example, then you need to know how the different equipment operates. So yes, I think that the little frightened in the industry to really keep the raw data for itself. And as you said, I mean, raw data don't have that much value. It's when you put it in the context and you can really do analytics and draw conclusions. That's where you get the value. So in a secure way, share data with a certain amount of people so you can draw the right conclusions, then you can take the right decisions, and then you can get the efficiency. Because it doesn't really matter what fuel you use in the future. I mean, if it's from heavy fuel to ammonia, fuel is a cost, and if you can save the energy, then you save fuel, and if you save fuel, you save cost, and that's money in the bank.
But I think also maybe one point is the operational profile of ships. I mean, it's not all ships that you can sort of predict this is exactly how it's going to be operating, but the more that you can predict it, the more you can build in these assumptions when you design the ship from the beginning, the more you can also invest in energy-saving technologies that will actually have a real value in the operation. Because it's about also that taking those technologies and putting them into operation, not just on a PowerPoint slide or in some fancy model. I mean, we need to validate. We need to build the business case together with the ship owner to really ensure that this is not just something that will be looking fancy on board the ship. It will actually create value in actual operation. So I think that operational profile of vessels, the more you can build in when you design from the beginning, the more you can also be sure that you will actually get value for money in your design stage.
And that's where you can use the new technology to really verify the input of your investment. Because when you do the business case, if you take hull cleaning solutions or whatever energy saving technology that you buy, you want to make sure that your business case is solid. And then you can use new technologies to see that, okay, it's give the effect that I want. It's not just a PowerPoint with a percentage. You can prove that that percentage is actually generating the money, so you keep your business case.
Yeah.
So connecting the dots, connecting technologies that we have, sensor data, that is really to secure, because then you can test on one vessel, you do it on the sister vessels, and then you do the whole fleet, and then you have the savings that you want.
Yeah. And I think the industry that we are in, the shipping industry, right? I mean, people are quite practical. A lot of the people, the decision makers, they've had their youth on board ships. They know what really what it is to really be on board and what really creates value. So I think as a maker, as a technology provider like we are in Alfa Laval, we really need to have in mind when we promote our systems that we do it in a credible way. I mean, it needs to be trustworthy. And here I think data plays an enormously big role, that we can really prove the business case and make that, you can say, credible argumentation that is not just a fancy PowerPoint, that they can really see and feel and have trust in the performance of the systems when they come on board.
So prove the business case, compare, use the data to compare with sister vessels and fleets, and understanding how data can be utilized in the best way. Yeah. But is energy efficiency becoming more or less important?
So I think for sure it's becoming more important. I mean, again, in an industry or in an environment where 50% of the actual energy is just lost, it's almost unacceptable, right? Then there's the regulatory landscape, which is of course also really, really important. There's some uncertainties. We don't know exactly how it's going to look like on long term. And then in the end, it comes down to money. It's about having a competitive operation of your asset. That's really the thing. I mean, shipping is an extremely competitive market. There's low margins in general, and where you can sort of excel is if you operate your vessel with the highest performance. So with that, I mean, that's the same as it was 10 years ago. But if we look 10 years ahead, I mean, I don't think anybody in the industry thinks that fuel costs will go down. I don't think anybody thinks that the new fuels that are coming will be cheaper than what we see today. So fuel costs will go up. Taxation on emissions is here to stay, right? We don't know exactly how much, but it's also likely that it will go up. And then maybe the last part, which is sometimes forgotten, is these new fuels that we're talking about. The energy density is much lower than conventional oil, so they take up a lot of space on board. So if you want to have the same amount of energy with these new fuels, you'll need much more bunker capacity, and you are likely to have to sacrifice cargo capacity. So there's a lot of good reasons going forward to have more focus on energy efficiency, because you will have less fuel costs, you'll have lower emission costs, and you'll have lower need for bunker space, and therefore you can carry more cargo. So I think the answer is pretty clear. It's definitely more relevant than ever.
Great. And also what you said, Jesper, saving fuel is saving money, so it comes down to strength and competitiveness.
Yes.
Now we move into the next phase. It's about the more practical side. So how energy efficiency looks on a day-to-day basis. But Amaranta, how can we make sure this is not left to chance, but actually energy efficiency is managed throughout the voyage?
Yes. If you look at it from like the crew perspective, they plan the route, as I said earlier, and then they start sailing. And if you leave it like that, then you will not be efficient at all. I mean, obviously you have to check the weather and so on, but to really make the efficiency or finding the small changes where you can adjust. You have to continuously monitor the voyage. You have to check the latest weather data. You have to check the latest, traffic information and stuff like that. So on board, they need to still do that. But the most important here is the transparency, because if onshore can have a kind of a view of what's happening on board, then they can also help and they can understand where to tweak it or what to do something, or if something happens like the vessel is reducing the speed for whatever reason, then it's good if the operator on shore or the owner can look into why, make adjustments, maybe replan some logistic at the upcoming port and stuff like that. And the other way around, if the captain knows what the operator what kind of challenges they have, what kind of planning they do, then they can also kind of adjust how to sail the vessel, basically. So it's all about transparency between shore and on board.
And we see this big change in how the efficiency, how that is actually driven, or the improvements.
Exactly.
And to make this possible, I know the more practical side of things, Jeppe. How do you take the hardware or the physical systems and make them intelligent? Can you make a fuel supply system or a boiler intelligent?
Good question. I think it starts with the people designing it being intelligent. That's a good starting point. I think, maybe on the operational side, maybe Jesper, you'll have a little bit more knowledge than myself, but on the design stage, I think it's really also about applying a smart design, an intelligent design from the beginning. Not necessarily just take the standard that's being offered, but engage with key stakeholders, find those optimization solutions that fits your profile, that fits your operational profile, but also your commercial profile, and then encourage for cross-functional collaboration between technology providers. I think we've never said no to any of our customers if they come and ask us, can you engage with the engine maker? Can you engage with that maker to find a better solution for me? Because we can't do it alone. I mean, we supply a lot of stuff that feeds the engine. We supply a lot of stuff that handles the waste heat from the engines. So just taking that as an example, I mean, engaging with engine maker, making sure that it's not just about optimizing our small part of the equipment, but if we can optimize the energy stream, the fuel stream, as you speak about, Jesper, the exhaust gas stream, the cooling streams, if we can do that with a little bit more of a holistic approach and collaborating with other stakeholders, we can achieve much more. So I think that's sort of my very close to my heart. It's the smart design from the beginning. Don't just take whatever is being offered.
And on that, I mean, we cannot forget the crew. Of course, if the system is so smart so that it's autonomous, fine. But it still needs to be operated, maintained, and so on. So the equipment on board getting smarter, that means that the crew also needs to get smarter, or getting the competence needed to be able to operate the smart equipment. So it's really important for us as maker to support the crew and the owners to really be able to operate the equipment to its full design capacity. And here, really new technologies coming in, like automated reality, virtual reality. So here we as a maker also step up to the plate to see, okay, but how can we then support the crew during the voyage to get that knowledge level, to operate the equipment in the best possible way. So there's a lot of different dots that needs to be linked.
And on waste heat recovery, that captures lost energy in this area of lower temperature fuels, engine cycles with new fuels. What is the future technology?
Yeah, good question. Because the engines have developed enormously over the last 2 decades. The efficiency has really gone up, which is really, really good. There is a challenge that the exhaust gas temperatures are getting lower. We need to take that in mind when we design our systems. But in the end of the day, it's the same thing that we do. We just need to be a little bit smarter. We need to put a little bit more effort into it. But there's still so much energy to be recovered. So I think we don't actually need to do anything significantly different. We just need to do the same thing. We just need to do it a bit smarter. We need to work together with the engine makers. But then maybe there is an aspect around some of the newer technologies that are sort of finding its way into the industry. One example is organic ranking cycle technology, which is actually tailored to utilize that low temperature heat, converting waste energy that was normally just cooled down and brought to the ocean, that can actually produce power directly, reducing fuel cost, reducing emissions, and actually also reducing the need for cooling, which is also something that takes up energy, right? So a lot of the same things that we have been doing for decades need to do it a little bit better, a little bit harder, and then having this eye for some of the new technologies that are actually coming in.
And to have this holistic approach, as you were
Absolutely,
talking about.
yeah.
And Jesper, you were just now mentioning like how to take care of your equipment and train the crew and so on. And on the topic, also make sure that your systems are not outdated. But what role does predictive maintenance and smart service play in ensuring uptime and keeping our systems at peak performance?
I think it's crucial. With sensor data, collecting a lot of data, then we can start to do predictive maintenance and just planned maintenance. I mean, planned maintenance is always good, of course, but many times that is within like a certain hour interval, which means that, okay, you need to do the maintenance before anything breaks down. But if we can have enough sensor, collecting the data, getting early warnings, then we can prolong the maintenance intervals, which means that then we can save money. So there's a lot of things that the maker can do, giving feedback to the crew that operates, but also collecting on a fleet level to make sure, okay, what is best practice. So here is a magic box that is opening that we can really utilize to help our customers to really achieve even better. And coming back to what Jeppe said regarding flexibility going forward, here's also, the flexibility on the equipment. Can we utilize current equipment on new fuels in a transition time? If we go back to like biofuel, biofuel you can use in our equipment. You can't maybe bunker it all over the world, but when you can bunker it, you can use it. And for us to use the technology, making sure that you can use the equipment is super important for us.
And now we're coming closer to the final part of this discussion. We will have one more subject on navigating the future. So where do we go from here and how do we prepare? Amaranta, we have these smart components, but are we truly connecting them? And how close are we to real-time integration across systems like wind, propulsion, air lubrication, fuel systems, and AI?
That's very interesting, and I think Jesper was talking a little bit, touching on that subject. That, like, for the moment, yes, there are a lot of different systems, but they work more or less isolated on the vessel. So, for example, if you take wind propulsion systems, there are different types of sails. There are wings, there are suction sails, there are kites, whatever. But if you don't connect them, whatever system you choose, if you don't connect it to the whole system on board, then you won't gain so much, to be honest. And also how to know, for example, how to know when to use the wing, if you have a wing on board, when to use it, when to not use it, and so on. So it's all about connecting it. If you connect it, for example, to the weather routing systems, then you can get the help, like, okay, when to catch the wind, and so on. So we work quite close with Oceanbird, and that what we do is that we take their performance data from their wings and incorporate it into our planning system. So then the crew basically can kind of optimize the route based and really use the wind to kind of push the vessel forward, and in that way save fuel and also emissions.
There you really get the benefits of combining
Yes.
these two technologies and using the data.
I think that is super important that we work more like Jeppe has been on that too, like holistic way of working and not only isolated.
I mean, another example on that is like the sunny hull ultrasound that keeps the hull clean or the propeller, which means that then if you can combine that with the information of how the hull is actually performing, the theoretical speed in the water, then you get the indication, okay, now it's time to polish the propeller again. So giving that, so you do predictive maintenance in some sort of way, but you don't overspend on cleaning in this case. So it's getting the doctors to be able to save and plan the maintenance work.
Yeah, really good examples of this. But Jesper, how is when we talk about the willingness to connect and the barriers to actually connect vessels to...
No, but I mean, if you go back a couple of years, sending satellite communication was super expensive. And we could see that it was a reductance. I mean, basically you got, when we come to customers and clients and talked about connecting different equipment, the first question was, of course, the cybersecurity, but the second was the cost. And it's not the cost really on putting the sensors on, it was really transferring the data. Nowadays, the barrier to connect and have satellite communication has really dropped. Historically, the cost has been super high. Now we see it's more reasonable, which means that we are in a sweet spot where it's easier to connect, it's easier to, and the cost is lower. And it's driven, of course, by connecting all equipment, but also the crew wants to be able to call home and look at Netflix and all that. So we are in a really nice opportunity here where the barrier to connect is less, and we have more sensors, and we can do more value of the data that we transfer. So I think a lot of things are lining up to take the next step in our industry.
Many opportunities lies ahead. And Amaranta, for ship owners, transforming fleet can feel a bit overwhelming. What is the most logical and impactful first step towards energy efficiency?
I really can understand that because they are bombarded with a lot of stuff like, oh, use this or put this on your vessel or have you thought about this and so on. So I think the first step is to really like analyze the vessel performance. How is the vessel actually performing as per today with the hardware and systems or whatever they have on board. And once you have analyzed and see, okay, then you can start thinking, okay, let's focus on that part first or two parts, and then focus on making the necessary changes. Maybe it's for this vessel you need to invest, I don't know, in another different fuel type, or so it's up to the ship owner. They will know, and we are here to help them. But it's kind of analyze where to target the first step, the first change, and then once you have done that, take the next one and then the next one. So don't get too overwhelmed. Just start one place. That's it.
One small step.
Yeah, one small step.
Yes, I think we are quite close to the ending now. And looking back on today's discussion, a final sentence from all of you. Amaranta, what is the main insight that you think our audience should take away from this discussion?
I think that they should not feel alone in this. I think that it's all about collaborating all together and use the expertise that are there. So ship owners are most likely feeling, as we just talked about, overwhelmed, but they are experts. Talk to us or whatever, but we need to collaborate. If we don't collaborate through the industry, then it will be difficult to reach any goals together.
And we can help reach the goals and make it easy to do the right thing. Jesper, do you have anything to add, closing?
It's similar. I mean, reach out. There's a lot of cool technologies that you can use during the maintenance, getting the OPEX cost down, but also look into the future to see what kind of flexibility, what kind of upgrades do different makers have to be able to save energy and money.
Great. Jeppe?
Yeah, I think on the same note, I mean, I hope the people listening to this will reach out to their local Alfa Laval team, be, let's say, open and transparent around the challenges, and then we will take it upon us and try and coordinate and come up with being a good sparring partner. And don't be shy in terms of encouraging cross-industrial collaborations. It's something we really like to do. It's something that we are very good at as well. So don't hold back. I mean, we are here to support.
Great. Thank you all. Great final words from all of you. And with that, we close this conversation for this time. Thank you all for listening in, and this webinar will be available on our marine blog. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you for having us.